Today's battle rhythm, Empowering the Veteran Family Unit, is being recorded. A link along with notes for the chat box and breakout rooms will be sent as an after action to all who have registered. Your host today, Jeanette Gillis, is the Deputy Director of Community Integration. She is also the lead of America's Warrior Partnerships Network, which provides local veteran service organizations with a connection to national resources when a veteran's request cannot be met locally. That's it for me. Jeanette, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome all of our affiliate communities, 4-Star Alliance members, veteran service organizations, and guests. This afternoon, we're going to have a number of guests that are going to be speaking with us. In our Educate section, we've got a subject matter expert with us today from Blue Star Families, Jennifer Aiken. So we welcome her. To connect with a national resource, we've got Heather Ely from Project Sanctuary and Bob and Barbara Zielinski, the founders and co-executive directors and facilitators with Marriage Management. So welcome to all of our subject matter experts this afternoon. And we're going to start with Jennifer Aiken of Blue Star Families. Jennifer, I'm going to turn it over to you to share with us about Blue Star Families.
Thanks, Jeanette, and thank you all for inviting us today. My name is Jenny Aiken. I am the co-director of Applied Research here at Blue Star Families. So here at Blue Star Families, we are committed to connecting neighbors in their local communities because we believe that much of our ability to thrive as military families is contingent upon our local neighbors, our teachers, our coaches, people at church, their ability to understand our life and effectively support us. We were founded in 2009, and much of our original work actually came out of this annual military family lifestyle survey. So we're a very data-driven organization. We use that information to listen to military and veteran families, to share that information with people who can do things about it, partner with them, and then act to create effective change for our military families. And so we partner with this now with the IVMF, the Institute for Veterans and Military Families. I think many of you are probably familiar with them. In other projects. So they are a great partner here as well. And this survey now, we've had over 10,000 respondents for 3 years in a row. We just closed it a couple of weeks ago. So it's now the largest and most comprehensive survey really of its kind, which is just incredibly exciting every year to see what comes out of it. So in 2019, I was asked to speak a little bit about the core needs for veterans families. And so what we're going to look at first is sort of like the pre-COVID snapshot, and then we'll look a little bit into what happened over the past few months with veterans, or at least what we can think happened. So these issues of concern probably aren't a surprise to many of you. You deal with access to military and VA healthcare issues, military benefits, PTSD, veteran employment, all of those often rise to the top. But I think one that often doesn't rise to the top is this importance of understanding military and veteran issues. And so that is a big piece of what we do at Blue Star Families. In fact, we've been able to look at what we've termed military family cultural competence, which is a mouthful, but basically if you perceive that the people in your community understand the sacrifices your family makes, is aware of them, appreciates them, has respect for them, all of these kind of components of that, that's actually associated with a stronger sense of belonging in your community. And we know belonging is also associated with all sorts of fun mental health outcomes, greater integration, lower social isolation, a lot of downstream effects. And so what we would like to encourage you to think about is upstream solutions for veterans problems. So if you can look at something that's happening with a military family and take a preventative approach, it's going to make life a lot easier for veterans. And then recognizing what military life issues impacted veterans that you're currently serving today as well. So what were those issues? across the board right now, we're seeing financial issues, and we have been here for a couple of years. It's a big problem, top stressor for military families, and it's definitely the top stressor for veteran families as well. Many of those financial issues and challenges really begin in active duty service, and they continue through transition and into veteran life. Several years ago, we found that many of the veterans, the majority, over 80%, who had a positive transition experience, actually had an employed spouse at the time of their transition. So we think that military spouse employment is actually a way to get ahead of many of these issues. So you'll see some themes of that kind of echoing throughout the presentation here, of being able to look at this more holistically. Because transition's hard. I mean, you've got over half of veterans saying that their transition was difficult or very difficult last year. Nearly half, 42%, saying they don't feel well prepared to navigate that transition. And unfortunately, we do see that social isolation is highest in those who didn't feel prepared for that transition, and also in those who had a difficult transition. So social isolation was high for those groups before COVID. And unfortunately, it's particularly hard for female veterans across the board here. You can see that you can take every transition challenge that a veteran faces and just compound it for female veterans. And I imagine it's not in this data, but when we look at military family challenges and we're looking at what are some compounding issues, you can take any military life issue and then layer on, female service member or service member with a child who has special needs. Kind of all of these challenges do compound over time. So as you're looking at your veteran population and trying to figure out where you should focus maybe a little bit more time and energy, this is absolutely one of those populations here. And we will send, I don't know, are we going to be able to send the slides after this, Jeanette or Allison?
Yes, we can. We can put it in the after actions.
Excellent. Thank you. So this is more of a military spouse side normally when I talk about it, but I'm really glad that we included it here because we can look at what's going on with veterans. So because we care a lot about how civilians are actually, or how military families are perceiving civilians understand their life, and how civilians are acting, because we as military and veteran families change our behaviors to meet what we think those actions are going to be. We asked about whether or not we thought people thought local employers wanted to hire them, and we saw a huge difference here. We were looking really a lot at military spouses. When you've got 40% of military spouses who don't believe that the employers there are really eager to hire them, that's going to affect how you present yourself in an interview. But the other piece of this is you've got quite a few veterans who do feel that employers are willing to hire them. And so I think you're probably always going to have a certain number who don't feel that way, certain companies that may not be projecting that. But I think this really speaks to the just the collective advocacy that our entire space has been doing really over the past decade or so around veterans employment to try and make you feel more welcome. Not 100% of the way there, but certainly a great strategy in at least feeling somewhat accepted. So I will caveat this quickly with I'm not a mental health professional. So if you have questions about that, I can direct them to my wingman, Jessica Strong, on our team. But I want to call your attention here to two stats. We have veterans who want support and are seeking it, but that professional help is not always helpful, or they aren't able to obtain it. So this is just, again, places we can continually be working, no matter until this stat here cannot obtain help gets to 0. So what happened during COVID? A lot, and we're still figuring it out. We ran a series of what we called a pain points poll. It was a continuous poll that we ran for 10 weeks from March to May during the early months of the pandemic. And I brought this slide to this audience because I think it speaks really nicely to what needs evolved in the last 5 weeks of that polling period, which were really like late April, May timeframe. We saw some fluctuation, we saw some things change. And then there were some things that really did not change at all. So things that you, as you're looking forward and reflecting on how your organization dealt with COVID, really being able to take stock of how well did you communicate about resources and services available? You know, what was the childcare situation like? These types of things stayed stable, but also what changed. So you can see that mental health care stayed fairly high kind of throughout the pandemic, as you would expect. But things like outdoor recreational activities increased. So just being able to take a look back at, you know, what was going on. We're kind of even doing that a little bit internally, like what was the evolving demand and were we prepared to meet it as the pandemic happened, and go ahead and document those things now. And if they didn't line up with some of these things, you know, why was this? Our veteran sample was fairly consistent. We had about a middle-aged veteran sample. We didn't have many older veterans, for example. When we did have a lot of older veterans, we saw this grocery delivery and curbside pickup spike here in week 8. And some other things too, by the way. So that was an older sample, and some other fees spiked as well. So just being able to kind of use this as a blueprint, but not the end all be all as to kind of what went on. And I think that was about 10 minutes, Allison. So I'll be here for future questions.
Sorry, we don't have any questions quite yet. We can go ahead and move on to our next presenter.
All right. Well, the next presenter is our national resource for the month. Marriage Management is out of Texas, but they offer marriage enrichment nationally through Project Sanctuary. And this is a wonderful example of not duplicating services and focusing on collaboration. Our first speaker is Heather Ely. She is the CEO and co-founder of Project Sanctuary. So let's hear about Project Sanctuary.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Thumbs up. Okay. So I am the founder of Project Sanctuary. We've been around since 2007, and we serve military families. My background is a registered nurse, and I believe the best way, or our way, to support our veterans and our military members is by supporting the whole family. And we do that through mental health, therapeutic recreation, retreats, and then we have a follow-up component to our program as well. We have about 28 employees. We serve military families across the country. We offer host retreats in 7 states right now, and that would be Colorado, California, Washington, Texas, Maryland, North Carolina, and Georgia. We do offer some scholarships for travel. Our retreats are 6 days in length, and they are for the entire military family. Right now, because of COVID, we are taking kids 5 and up. We found it very difficult to socially distance from toddlers and babies. It's just not possible. Because of COVID, we absolutely saw a spike in the need for services and support, which is not surprising. We literally took 5 weeks off in May, April, and in May we started hosting in-person programming again. This was done very carefully and cautiously, but we felt that the need really outweighed the risk, and we felt like that if we could do it smartly, then everyone would be safe. And we've been able to successfully host about 14 retreats during COVID. We're hosting 5 to 6 families at a time rather than our normal 12. That way we can keep everyone in individual pods. As mentioned earlier, a lot of the stresses are financial, transitioning. The female veterans absolutely have a harder time. All these issues are addressed during our retreats, and especially the relationships. That is the most important part. We kick off each single retreat with a marriage management class for the first 2 days, 2 hours the first day, 2 hours the second day, where the couples are taught basic skills. Some of these things the families have never had time to address: communication, stresses. Marriage management is a phenomenal organization. Because we've been up and running since 2007, we've had our share of partners that we have worked with. And I will tell you right now, marriage management is the best of the best. You're not going to find another organization that cares as much or does as much in their allotted time to help these families. On the flip side of what we do, we also have case management, or a family support program, which does just that, family management. So we are boots on the ground. If someone needs financial help, we're going to match them up with services, or we're going to provide that financial support ourselves. If they need mental health care, we're not going to let them say we couldn't find it, or we didn't try, or it wasn't a good fit. We're absolutely going to hang in there with the families to make sure that they get the mental health care that they need. And it's not just the veteran, again, it's the spouses and the kiddos as well. That is open to all military families. Any military family that could benefit from a retreat or family case services are welcome to apply. We will do what we can. Family is whoever they decide is family. It could be a single parent. It could be a female veteran with just her kids. It could be a wounded, ill, or injured veteran and his parents who are now caring for that individual. So we're wide open. We have a lot of fun. We balance everything with recreation. We have a full staff of licensed, competently prepared counselors, social workers, rec therapists, all providing, we feel like, some of the best support our military families deserve and can get. So with that, I will open it up to any questions and introduce you guys to Bob and Barbara, which I had the honor to meet them a couple of years ago. We both won a Newman's Own Award, and we were both in Washington at the same time. And when we really were struggling finding the best marriage facilitators in the country, I reached back to Bob and Barbara, and they crafted something that just knocked us out of the park. They do a great job. So I will turn it over to Bob and Barbara unless someone has any questions for me.
We do have a quick question. Someone has asked, what regions or states do you cover?
We cover all the regions and states. So we've hosted all 50 states at this time. The retreats themselves are located in Colorado, California, Washington State, Texas, Maryland, and North Carolina. If a family is in Idaho or Alaska or Hawaii, we can help sponsor some travel, not all travel. There can be a little bit of a wait time with that, but we take care. Any family anywhere that needs any support services are free to contact us. We're national.
Excellent.
I have a question.
Okay.
We've been on several of your retreats, and one of the things we really admire about it, Heather, is you have counselors available on site
24/7.
24/7. And could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes. So especially during our retreats, as a registered nurse, I was not going to enter in this field and not give the families the best. And I needed my team with me, the team approach. So we've always had licensed professional counselors that are culturally competent at our retreats, and they're available for the families. If the families just want a casual conversation, that can be arranged, or if they need a sit down, 4 walls with the individual, couple, or family therapy, it's there. It's right there with them. And a lot of our counselors say that they can move mountains in 6 days working with these families. The recreation adds a new element. We can tell which families are struggling with grief, which ones are struggling with anger, what's going on. The kiddos are another way to help really reveal some key issues. And we're able to address those issues right then and there at the retreat and make sure these families get the help that they want. And then, of course, we can continue the help post-retreat as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, Bob and Barbara, welcome. We would like for you now to share with us your marriage management program.
Thank you. And we want to pick up on what Jenny was talking about, and that was that in 2006, we noticed some alarming statistics about the hidden casualties of war. First was the huge increase in military divorces, a rise in destructive behaviors such as substance abuse, domestic violence, child abuse, and a rising rate of suicide in military families. And we knew it was time to act.
We noticed that on your first slides there, you had marriage as 25% of issues, people needing that kind of resource, and mental health also being an unmet need. We believe that the family unit is the stable anchor for our troops, and the family hinges on the stability of a marriage. Marriage goes, everything goes. And if the family crumbles, veterans are more likely to fall into one or more destructive behaviors. Suicide is really one of our hidden agendas. If the family crumbles, the veteran is more likely to fall into several destructive behaviors, often leading to homelessness because they're going to be a divorce and somebody's not going to have a house, and eventually suicide. We have lost friends for that reason. And they don't let you know. They're very strong people. They keep up the facade until one day they're gone. So being able to recognize that is critical. 30% of veteran suicides had a failed intimate relationship just in the prior month. So
our organization has been around since 1981, but in 2006 we restructured to be able to serve our military and veteran community. And what we offer is free marriage education classes. This is skill-based instruction, as Heather pointed out, that they need the skills that they need to deal with repeated deployment injuries and the other stresses of military life. We operate basically within Texas because we have grants from the Texas Veterans Commission, Fund for Veterans Assistance, and United Way. We use an evidence-based curriculum, but our programs are unique in several ways. First, it's not counseling, because a lot of the people that we deal with are reluctant to go to counseling. So our approach is peer sharing rather than clinical. And this helps people to feel much more comfortable because it's been there, done that kind of attitude.
yeah, all the programs are taught by a veteran married couple. We screen our presenters very carefully, and they all have in their heart that cultural competency because they've been there, done that, and a desire to reach out. So the facilitators not only teach, but they model, and they allow couples private time to practice the skills that they're taught. Practice is so important, especially to the military mind. That's what they do. They train, and they're used to this. And group work is mostly shared wisdom among the peers. There is no one person that has all of the knowledge available, but when we share with each other, they find that they're in a group of very unique people, and it gives them a lot of hope to see those around them with the same issues. So classes are interactive, and they become fun too. The atmosphere is always open, it's always friendly, and it's always safe because there's no blame or bashing allowed. Prior to March, our teams traveled to locations around the state for in-person day-long retreats, but COVID, even though we thought it would kill the organization, it has really blossomed. Currently, our classes are all being done virtually via Zoom. They're 3 evenings, usually about 2 hours each, and this has really allowed us to expand our reach.
We've loved our partnership with Heather and Project Sanctuary. They do marvelous work, and our teams love going to these retreats and being part of them. And this has been part of our outreach outside of Texas. We get lots of requests for those programs, but we don't always have the funding that we need. So through a couple of special donations to Marriage Management, we are going to be able to offer a virtual Zoom class on January 11th, 12th, and 13th. It will be from 7 to 9 Central Time, and we can register about 15 couples on a first come, first serve basis.
So
Go ahead.
again, this would be open to couples anywhere. Even if one is deployed and one is home, as long as they can join at the same time in the same time zone, we will take them.
Yeah, one of the things that Zoom has allowed us to do is, you may not be aware that a lot of the National Guard in Texas is deployed down on Border Patrol, and they're not allowed to come home during their deployment. So we've been able to offer services to one who's deployed down at the border and one who is local, which we hadn't been able to do before. And they still then have a chance to connect and talk with one another.
All the class materials are delivered FedEx to the registrar's home before the class, so everyone is working with the same materials. We're currently looking for sponsors.
We believe in a very collaborative approach,
Yeah.
and we work with different organizations, like we work with the Cohen clinics all over the state of Texas, who can sponsor the programs for us, and we provide the materials and the facilitators. So we hope that this is the beginning of a new outreach for us.
We have a couple of minutes left, so we'll open that to questions.
I don't see any questions. I've got someone saying, hey, you guys are all doing such great work. So glad to hear that you were able to do this virtually.
And please, at the last slide, I think we'll have information on it. Basically, you could just go to our website, marriagemanagement.org, and it has all of our classes. And remembering that the January 11th through 13th class is open to anyone. And please pass along that information. If you would like a virtual flyer, just contact us afterwards, info@marriagemanagement.org. And again, Heather, it's good to see you.
Yeah, we have a team that's going to be joining Heather in Texas next weekend.
Yes.
Yes, our teams fight over who gets to go to Project Sanctuary. Oh, wow.
And nationwide, we have seen a lot of groups as well, and I want to return that compliment. Project Sanctuary is by far the best experience we've seen for veteran families that we've ever seen. Thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys for both being here today, and for Jenny too. Let's see, I have the one question that I have here is Sean Moore says, if we would like to partner with your help, with you to help any of your participants who need mental health support, how do they get in contact with you? I know that we're going to have on the after actions, we'll have the addresses for the presenters and their email addresses and contact information on the notes, as well as we share out any of the stuff that is in the contact in the chat boxes. So if you guys, if you out there want to share your contact information or anything about the organization, you're welcome to do that in the chat box, and that way everybody can get it.
Okay. I think the best way to contact us is just to info@marriagemanagement.org, or I think it's info@projectsanctuary.vet or US.
.us.
.us.
Yeah, and if they just go to the website and hit contact us, it'll actually go right to me. I'm also the CEO and secretary for the organization.
And I think the other thing that Heather hasn't mentioned is Project Sanctuary offers a 2-year follow-up for the couples. So they don't just go on the program and then be left alone. They're offered counseling and resources and contact and caring for 2 additional years after the program.
Excellent. All right. Thank you for that. We are going to go ahead to our next part of the program, which is, I can get things out from under my slide folders. we're going to go out to the breakout activities. Now, this is an opportunity for everybody here to not only talk more with our presenters that have been here today, but also to talk to each other. I wanted to share one resource that I almost skipped over. We have Dr. Mitchell Tepper that is created a documentary called On Love After War. It's an excellent organization. It's an excellent documentary. We'll be sharing that information out to how to see and get more information about that in the after action as well. And I appreciate it, Dr. Tepper for giving us that information.
Thank you for mentioning it.
Oh, you're welcome. Almost skipped right over that. But all right, so in the breakout sessions, Jeanette's going to quickly go through how do you do this while I put people in the rooms they've asked for. So again, if you know what topic you want to be in, please put the number after your name in your participant list. Just rename yourself by clicking on your name and rename.
All right, so Allison is going to begin putting everyone in their topic in the rooms that they select. When the breakout session begins, it'll last for about 15 minutes. The session will open. We'll ask everyone to do a quick introduction of themselves, their name, their job title, and the organization that they're with. Please do that quickly. We only have 15 minutes. We'll also identify a person who will share the key takeaway from the breakout discussion, and the room host will begin the session with a question.
It's 4. Topic 4.
So please take a look at the 6 topics and make your selection. Resuming in-person programming is topic 1. Topic 2, program funding. Topic 3, veteran family resources. Topic 4, strengthening marriage. Topic 5, transitioning family support. And topic 6, family resilience during COVID.
Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully everybody had a lot of fun talking and learning more about your topic. Let's hear back from the share. So who was the share person for topic number 1, resuming in-person programming?
So I'm just going to ask Susan if she'd like to share a little bit about what we've talked about, because Susan, we try not to have it be us. And Susan and I were on there for a few minutes together.
Well, I'll have to do it quick because I've got to hop off this one to do a Zoom call with some of my veterans. So really quick, our organization was fortunate that we could transfer to a virtual space, doing some mindfulness, doing some, we're doing some resources this month. We've done some culinary things. We've done some fitness stuff. And, you know, the one thing, it's great to be able to have that digital connection, but for some veterans, it's still a struggle because of brain injuries, focus, cognitive issues, not having the equipment, not having a space to be able to connect. So something's better than nothing, but we need to figure out another way for those individuals.
Excellent. Okay. Topic 2, program funding. Do we have a share person for that key thought?
Well, we didn't select a share person per se, but well, I can choose one. I really would like to say maybe Virginia at Upstate Warrior Solutions, because she really wasn't trying to be in that session at all. And so maybe she has a key takeaway from sitting in or just listening to the discussion. Sorry, Virginia.
I'm told.
The takeaway, thank you, Joy. I would say the takeaway is that there are opportunities out there, and not to be discouraged, but to use those resources, because there is ample financial benefit out there for each nonprofit organization. And there are resources to help us navigate through that so that we can, you know, be a part of, you know, one of those recipients. So don't give up and don't be discouraged.
Excellent. Thank you, Virginia. Okay, topic 3, veteran family resources.
Well, I'm going to ask anyone from my group that would like to give their takeaway. I got
huge, 15 people.
I kind of got my own takeaway, but I'm going to be quiet for a second, see if anyone else jumps in from my group.
I'll talk about trying to find subject matter experts and people whose mission match their passion. Trying to find different organizations that give a place where anyone can go to ask those questions to find the subject matter expert. In the chat box, I put the Joining Community Forces Military One Source link on there as an example of the Joining Community Forces initiative, which is a place where subject matter experts from every sector, it's employment, it's homelessness, it's suicide prevention, or myself in healthcare, where we can all come together, and for your state or your area or your county, you can find these subject matter experts to, maybe you don't know the answer, but maybe you know somebody who does. And if they come to you, me for healthcare, but it's not unique to just healthcare, maybe it's a employment issue, it's a financial issue, it's a legal issue, then I can point them in the right direction or point them to resources to help. And if we do that collectively and open, then we'll find that we can help a lot of people.
Excellent. All right, thank you for that. Number 4, topic 4, strengthening marriage.
Sure, I was going to give you the takeaway there. We think that marriage management, which is like marriage education or more broadly relationship education, is essential, especially when somebody comes back from learning a one-way communication as they often do in the military. So to go back to learning a two-way communication with negotiation and learn to really get to know each other again, understand each other's issues and specifically their triggers. Because if you understand and if someone will share their triggers, you can try to avoid them. Really helping people to build trust or rebuild trust, and how to do that after a breakdown in trust, how to apologize, how to reconnect and bond. So, there were folks in there, another woman in there, her parents were in the clergy, Catholic clergy, and did marriage education, and she recognized the importance of that too. So that was the take home. We could all benefit from some relationship education.
Definitely. Thank you for that. About topic 5, transitioning family support.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm from Strong Family, Strong Children. I am the sharer for our group. And we noticed that one of the things that families and veterans aren't really well prepared for is the financial cost and the financial stresses of transitioning, because the military will pay for your move, have the guys move all your stuff, do everything for you. And when you have to do it on your own, it tends to be very stressful. Another thing is they might not have a job waiting for them right out of the military. So they would be, we don't know how much savings they have and if it'll last them until they're actually gainfully employed. There's also a lot of cultural differences between the civilian world and the military world. And those differences make it a hindrance for employment sometimes. And we also notice that the basic needs of the families kind of go unaddressed at times.
Thanks for that. I can tell everybody's had some really interesting, informative talks in their groups. So that makes me very happy. How about number 6, topic 6, family resiliency and COVID? Let's see. Heather, you were in that group?
Yeah, I think someone else was going to speak, but obviously I'll just step in. COVID has added a layer of necessity and heightened all the needs that already existed. It's also not going to go away anytime soon. And it's in a lot of ways taught us how to collaborate, to work better, work smarter, to ask the questions, to establish some better practices even. As Bob and Barbara were talking about, to be able to do a Zoom communication while somebody's actually in theater with their spouses is absolutely incredible. So some of the online programming has really upped our game. So the takeaway was COVID's here. It's probably going to be here for quite a while. And that just like our families, we need to be resilient and adapt and use those best practices moving forward. And recognize that it's particularly affected our population, the population that we serve, and with minorities and women, just to be very aware that it's almost critical times for them.
I'd like to add something to that. Barbara and I were wondering how much the COVID really affected the unmet need out there in the marriage and relationship education theater. So we were funded for like 300 people as veterans and spouses, total 300 for a year. And COVID started, and we managed to get with the VA in Texas, and they put out one of our flyers on their monthly newsletter just in Texas. Within 48 hours, we had requests from 620 people, 310 couples in 48 hours. That's
Wow.
That was twice as much as our yearly budget. You know? So there's some real numbers for you in one state.
Right.
You know, so my gosh,
The need is huge.
You guys just keep doing what you're doing. If we can help in any way, let us know.
Thank you. Okay, Jeanette.
Well, we certainly thank you for what you're doing, and all the other folks on the call for the myriad of ways you're supporting veterans around the country. We can only do this together, so let's let's just keep on trying and keep on working. Next month's Battle Rhythm will be on December 7th at 2 o'clock.
A day of infamy.
There you go. I know, I was about to say that. Our topic will be strengthening the financial wellness of veterans and their families. Another very timely topic in these difficult times. So join us next month, and you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.